So this video is a follow-on the previous two videos that I've made, and I'll put a link to those two videos in the description box below if you haven't seen that. But basically in this short series I was just exploring how long it would take to work with ChatGPT to basically develop the user interface, the front end of a browser application to make it possible to show some business logic in a way that I need to my clients. And as I said in the earlier videos, I'm basically a civil engineer. I'm not a programmer, but I do have a little bit of experience in programming. And I just did these videos to see how well I could get by with using ChatGPT to help me with the HTML and the JavaScript component while I took care of the server component where all the business logic is stored. And in the previous two videos I showed how ChatGPT basically helped me to achieve this layout. So I've got some inputs right here, and I've got a button to load data, and I showed that I want to load certain cards which show information that will be loaded from the server. Now, a bit more background on the domain in which I'm working. I work with infrastructure engineering, and my speciality is specifically roads and road networks, or as we call them, pavement structures. And specifically, we are working in the domain of looking at the spending on a road network and trying to find an optimal pattern of spending. And what this specific tool is aiming towards is to make it very easy when we run an optimization algorithm to create a forward works plan for spending, so that we can give it to a client and that there's minimal things they need to do to allow us to have a discussion with them, drill down into where our model predicted that they will need to do treatments, etc. And so that's the background. That's what we want to achieve with this application. And so in the previous video, I stopped where basically I was able to generate this layout with HTML, and I hooked this now up to an API call which goes to the server, and it gets the data from our deterioration model. Our deterioration model is called Juno Cassandra, and I can put a link to that in the description box below as well. And basically what I've added since the last video is I've added this entire map component, and I also added a few functionality to link the cards here which represent different planned spending that the client will have to do on their infrastructure component. Now, because I am from New Zealand, as you can see here, the map is centered on New Zealand. I've just asked ChatGPT to generate some dummy roads in Paris with their GPS coordinates. So I'm actually going to fake an engineer working in the central region of Paris, and we assume that we've just run our infrastructure deterioration model on that, and that they now want to go and inspect where the model has placed treatment on which areas. So it's very simple. There will be a secret client code that they have to put there to access the outputs that we generate. And when that is filled in, as you can see, I filled it in there, they can select the model input file, and I've got here inputs Paris demo and the treatments file which come out of the model, and that will be treatments Paris demo. And my model, typically the model that we're using can predict for 30 years or 40 years. But here, this specific tool is just to look at a short-term forward works plan. And so I'm just going to look at the first year treatments, and I load the data for that. And the moment I click, you can see I've got the streets in central Paris down here. And when I click on a card, it opens up, and it also zooms in on where that treatment is. So if I zoom out a little bit and you look at this card, you'll see, I'll zoom out a bit more, and you'll see this is in Paris, and specifically we are looking at the central area within Paris. And you can see where the model has predicted that spending will be needed in the next year. Remember, we're just looking at the next year. And the black dots represent committed treatments. So these are treatments that are already in the plan for the infrastructure maintenance, and they are basically locked in. And the red dots here are those ones predicted by the model to fill up the remaining budget that is available for the next year. And you can do the same for other years as well, but specifically now I'm just loading it for this year. Now you'll note that these dots are all different sizes. So basically what the model does, it looks at each spending category coming out of the deterioration model, and it then scales the size of the dot relative to the percentage of the spending in that budget category. So it's very easy for me to go and see that of the additional funding that's needed here, this road over here, and you can see it scrolls down to that road, that is going to take the most of my spending. And you can see here, this says that this needs an asphalt treatment, and it will cost $300,000. And the percentage of spending in this treatment category, that means pre-seal asphalt treatment, will be 12% of available spending. Now, the engineer wants to make decisions whether that is a suitable choice of treatment or not. And you can see the card here gives them the relative ranking of this specific road segment relative to the rest of the network. You can see here, this one ranks very high on traffic, bus routes, the age of the pavement structure, and also the rut depth is ranking quite high. So let's just go and look at a few others. You'll see if I click on this item here, it will scroll to the cards on the right to go and find that specific route, and it will open it up for me. And similarly, if I want to go down to a specific street, so I will go here to Avenue Bosquet, and if I click on this, you'll see it will draw a circle around that. Now, once again, all of that I was able to achieve in the last day just by working with ChatGPT and getting the HTML code and the script ready. Now, I have to say I've got a little bit of experience with JavaScript, but I didn't write anything from scratch. So it was an enormous productivity boost for me to get the help from ChatGPT to get this done in the time that I was able to. Now, I'm anticipating that there may be some comments that it's very dangerous to generate code if you don't understand. I have to say, all of the code that was generated by ChatGPT, if I have to maintain that now, I will be able to. I understand what the code means. There's a lot of comments in it. But basically, this has allowed me to focus on the area which is the server-side code, where all the optimization algorithms and the modifications happens in C#, which is a language that I'm much more comfortable with. And basically, this exercise has allowed me to prototype how easy it would be to develop a front end for a tool like this, and it has worked very well. In summary, just to summarize the time that it took me to get all of this done, basically in the first two videos that I made, I explained that the first one, the basic layout of the form, took me approximately 35 minutes. With the script, the second video took me about 40 minutes, but about 10 of that I wasted because there was just one ID that was missing, and I struggled. ChatGPT couldn't find the problem, and I couldn't find the problem. And I have a suspicion that that was mainly my error that I had made. Today I worked in the afternoon, so in the morning I just worked on some bread and butter type of consulting work, and in the afternoon I started work at just around 2 o'clock, and I finished about 5:45 in the evening. So that was about 4 hours. So for me to get this entire tool working with the map and everything else probably took me about 5 hours. And I would say there is a little bit of experience in setting up the Google map, for example, getting the Google map API keys. And you'll see that this map has a specific style. There's very little information on here, such as, monument information and so on. And the reason is because this is for civil engineers. It's not for tourists. So we don't want to show where there's a bed and breakfast or Airbnb, etc. And so the things that you see here are related to what we actually want to know about. And I did spend a little bit of extra time beforehand to find out how you have to customize your Google map to achieve that. So I would say overall, what has gone into this front end component was probably about 8 hours, between 8 and 16 hours of time that I spent on this. And I'm very happy with this because now I've got basically the pattern, and I can focus more of my time now on the server-side code where the more mathematical things like the optimization and so forth happen. And I'm looking forward to hook this up to more of our beta testing tools and get that rolled out to clients so that they can have a better way of actually inspecting the outputs that come out of our model. So I'll make a bit, maybe one or two more videos where I want to talk about this trade-off between the time you need to put in to set up your server-side code and your front-end code so that you can spend more time on actually working on your domain and your business logic if you are coming from this to coding like I do here from an engineering perspective. So I hope that was useful to someone out there. Thanks for watching.